Verma is inevitably to conjure some very negative and derogatory stereotypes that have surrounded his art for almost a century now. When an exhibition of Ravi Verma's paintings was held in 1993 by the National Museum in New Delhi, what was amazing was the way the reactions were replaying the kinds of criticisms and evaluations which really date back now for more than 100 years. Because really this criticism of Ravi Verma, the rejection of Ravi Verma's art, dates back to the beginnings of the new school of Indian painting that began under Abanindranath Tagore. And it was largely a kind of ideological and aesthetic intervention that Ravi Verma's art was labeled as imitative, Western, also somewhere as vulgar and non-Indian essentially, whereby the new movement begun by Abanindranath could be presented as the more authentic and genuine specimen of Indian art. Since then, I think Ravi Verma's style has constantly been tied up with these kind of polarities between what is seen as Western style and Indian style. And I think a strong case can be made, and it has been made by many scholars now, of treating him as a founding figure of Indian modernity on the art scene. Because I think there are a number of ways in which he exemplifies the way in which a new national modern identity in art was articulated for the first time in the 1870s and 80s. Which is, he really stands at a conjunction between a changing world of court painting and a new world of kind of elite patronage and westernized art practice. Now, I think it's also important to recall the way in which the modern in this period really stood for the practice of academic oil painting and the new illusionist realistic style which went with it. Ravi Verma is able to steal that magic and employ it to the representation of Indian classical and mythological themes, themes from the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and from Kalidas's epics. And this provides the Indian elite with their own variety of a kind of neoclassical Indian art. I think that is the source of his immense appeal and popularity at that time. And I think it's important to remember that even writers like Rabindranath and another figure from the Tagore family, an eminent essayist and critic like Balindranath Tagore, were very powerfully persuaded by Ravi Verma's art and saw him as being able to capture the essence of the classical and mythological themes by employing this new style. And the style was not necessarily seen as Western, it was just seen as the most improved order of representation. Now, part of Ravi Verma's fate, or the fate of Ravi Verma's art is of course linked up with a decision he himself makes in the course of his career to produce his pictures for a mass audience. So he begins his own press in the 1890s and begins the mass reproduction of his paintings. And in a way, this itself anticipates a certain slide in quality in the works, but it also makes the individual artist into a kind of mass phenomenon. So he has come to stand for a kind of popular kitsch of kinds. And his paintings are so immensely popular that they are widely pirated and appropriated by a number of popular presses during that time. So we find that in his own lifetime itself, the artist's name becomes like a brand name for this very popular new kind of religious and mythological picture. So when we look back on the kind of 4 decades of his life and career, what strikes us is the way the individual artist is transformed into a mass art phenomenon, and the way his art in the course of this period straddles the two worlds of both elite tastes and the popular visual culture. I think this is what makes Ravi Verma a unique phenomenon in the history of modern Indian art, and I think we have to continuously, therefore, address and engage with that phenomenon with new perspectives drawn from the present.